This is Rashad Mitchell. Let's get into 1976 Oakland Raiders. It's the 50th anniversary of that great team that went 13-1, led by head coach John Madden. Remember, John Madden was not just a broadcaster; he was a head coach first, and he had a great team in '76. A team that was trying to get over that hump. They was always great in the '70s with Ken Stabler and uh, Fred Belitnikoff and guys like Dave Casper, um, wasn't it Cliff Branch, you know, Skip Thomas and Willie Brown. They was a very talented team, but they could not win that championship. Finally, in '76, it was their year to get it done. They definitely got it done in '76, beating the Minnesota Vikings 32-14. So this is a live feed. Once anybody gets into this live stream, look at the thumbnail, they'll see what I'm talking about. This was a great team. He was able to get it done. They were complete on both sides of the ball. You had Hall of Famers like Gene Upshaw on the offensive line. You had Dave Darby opening lanes for Mark Van Egan, Clarence Davis, Pete Van Zach. Had Art Shell, who's a Hall of Famer. Ken Stabler, blindside, allowing him to surgically carve up opposing defenses in the passing game with Hall of Famers like Cliff Branch, Fred McGlitnikoff, and Dave Casper. Then you had John Matuzak, Philip Piano, Hall of Famer Ted Hendricks, Hall of Famer Willie Brown, George Atkinson, Jack Tatum. You had All-Pro punter Ray Guy. And then you had Hall of Famer owner Al Davis and Hall of Famer Coach John Madden. So this was a great, great team. Great team. They finally beat the Steelers in '76 championship game 24-7. So this team definitely was loaded with talent. So it's the 50th anniversary of this team from 1976. Oakland Raiders, 50th anniversary. 13-1, won a 6th AFC championship. They beat the Patriots 24-21. Steelers 24-7 and beat the Vikings 32-14. And like I said, this team was a great team. They were the best team in the NFL in 1976. It was their year. And then in 2012, the 1976 Oakland Raiders were named the greatest team of all time by NFL's.com's Bracketology 15-day 6-round fan vote tournament that featured the 64 greatest teams. Thanks for hitting the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new to the Rashad Mitchell YouTube channel. They did like a feature of the 64 greatest teams from the Super Bowl era, and there was the 1976 Oakland Raiders that were the greatest team of all time. It was a 15-day 6-round fan vote. Oakland beat the 2000 Baltimore Ravens in the final round by 8% margin, 0.8% margin. And the NFL on its 100th anniversary named the 1976 Raiders the number 8 on the 100 greatest teams of all time. So that's high praise right there. This was a great team. This team was talented. This team was a great team. They just had to get over the hump against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had won the last two Super Bowls, and they was able to do it in 24-7. They were just a dominant team. The Cliff Branch Hall of Fame 2020. Okay. Yeah, so this was a great team. One of the greatest teams in NFL history in terms of what they did. They beat the Steelers the first week of the season 31-28. And there was a win. That last game, most important game, and that was against the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. So that's to say, man, that team was just a great team. That beat the Vikings 32-14 in the Rose Bowl on January 9th, 1977. It was their time to get over that hump. They had a great, great team, very talented team, man. The Oakland Raiders team, they should have won more Super Bowls. But they had to deal with the Miami Dolphins. They had to deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The AFC was the dominant conference at that time in the 70s. So Pittsburgh was doing their thing. Miami was doing their thing. So you had to deal with that. Then you had Oakland. You know what I'm saying? In the NFC, you had the Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. Rams were pretty good, at that time. San Francisco was pretty good. But it was mainly Dallas and Minnesota. Like you look at, as far as the 70s, the duration of the 70s. Because in 1970, Minnesota lost in Super Bowl. 71, Cowboys. 72, the Washington Redskins. 73, just breaking down the NFC teams that were in the Super Bowl. 73, you gotta go to Minnesota. Minnesota was pretty good in the 70s. Grant, those guys, people eaters, led by Alan Page, Jim Marshall, those guys, Fran Tarkenton. 74, that was Minnesota Vikings again. They were in the representing the NFC in 74 and 75. Excuse me, 73 and 74. 73, they was in the Super Bowl. They lost to the Dolphins. 74, they lost to them. 74, they lost to Steelers. 73, they lost to the Dolphins. 72 Dolphins beat the Redskins. But it was that team from Minnesota that was doing their thing at the time. So when you look at 75, here come the Cowboys and the Steelers. 76, Minnesota again. 77, Cowboys. 78, Cowboys. And 79, it was the Rams. So you look at that decade, man, it was different teams that was doing it. Dallas, Minnesota, Rams, teams like that. Redskins was in there one time. But it was Dallas and Minnesota. But you look at the AFC, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was Miami Dolphins and obviously Oakland Raiders. But Oakland Raiders may have been the best of the best. Against those Steelers teams, but they could have won more championships. But they didn't. They had to go through so many great teams. But 76 was the year. That's what this video is about. Looking back at that team from 1976. Rest in peace to John Madden. Rest in peace to Kenny Stabler. Most of the guys know passed. Gene Upshaw. Kenny Stabler. A lot of these guys that was on that great team gone. Cliff Branch. They no longer here. Unfortunately. But we still got Dave Casper. He's still alive. So, Fred Litnikov, he's still alive. So I'm going to cover this 1976 team because that was a great team. One of the great teams ever to play the game. That's how great that team was. That was a great, great team. So it needs to be said, man. Yeah, a lot of guys that was on that team have passed on. Yeah, Willie Brown, he passed away. In his late 70s. He was 78, 2019. So there's a lot of guys that was on that team that did their thing, that was dominant. So give credit where it's due. That's basically it, man. Ken Stabler, rest in peace to him. He passed back in 2015. He was only 69 years old. Clarence Davis alive? Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah, Ray Guy, he passed several years back, 2022. So, as we see it, just want to do a short video on that team from 1976. So I'm going to do another live feed coming up real shortly, right after this. Like, subscribe to the channel. Be back soon.